Well, I think that what we have to do here is look at keeping costs as low as possible for students who go to third level. In Fine Gael have a programme on that, as you know, about leaving the entrance to third level open for students, and that when they would graduate that they would make a contribution for 10 years after they graduate and begin work, and that would equate to about 30% of the cost of their course. So we'd like to keep costs down for as much as possible for students, because the tradition is, of course, that those who graduate and get into work have an opportunity to earn very much more over the course of their lifetimes than those who don't graduate. Well, the registration fee is slightly different than the cost of the third level. That's why I suppose when fees were abolished, the registration fee was introduced. Now we'd be committed not to increasing registration fees beyond where they are, obviously. So in the hiatus between the Fine Gael programme kicking in for the graduation contribution, we'll have to have a loan scheme, subsidised loan scheme, in the interim to help students get through. But our intention is to leave the gates of the universities and the third level colleges open for all students. I'm going to be the first public servant in the country to have taken a voluntary pay cut. Now, TD salaries have been cut on 3 or 4 occasions. TDs cannot draw their pensions now until they're 65. As you know, I've announced that there will be no further ministerial severance payments. Ministers won't be able to draw their pensions either until they're 65, and we will reduce all of the top level public salaries downwards, including both that of the Taoiseach and the ministers. Yeah, well, what we've set out is a 45,000 series of places for internships, for different modules of education and training, and indeed for community employment schemes. Now, they're not permanent jobs, of course, but call it by another name if you like. We would like to offer young people and young students the opportunity to be able to avail of some of those. But on top of that, when Fine Gael would introduce its programme for VAT reductions in the tourism and leisure industry, when you reduce your PRSI for employers, this would provide a lot of opportunities besides in the indigenous economy for young people and young students to take on employment, particularly during the summer. So you mightn't call it a sort of summer employment scheme as such, but there would be opportunities as a consequence of that heightened motivation and confidence to take on people, including young people, of course. Yes, and the reason we do that is that less than 2% of the workforce are involved in the minimum wage. We like to think that there's a difference between those who work and those who don't work or don't have work. And from that point of view, we felt it unfair that those who are in a working category and who are being penalised for the universal social charge and other items should at least have a minimum wage that's set. The other side of that argument is that we propose to reduce the employer's PRSI by 50%. So while you have complaints, let's say, from employers about the level that the minimum wage is set at, from now on, in respect of those people, the employers will be able to say, well, I'm having an advantage at the other end of the scale by having my PRSI as an employer reduced by 50%, which is an advantage for them.